to the legends of the creative and entertainment industries. We talk to those on the rise. Lance Dean Anthony Nielsen asks about the highs, the lows, and everything in between. This is Outcast Creative, and this is Industry Interviews.
Hello, welcome to Industry Interview 171. Before I bring my guest in, I'm just going to show a quick clip from a much beloved TV show that I'm a huge fan of. My guest is a huge fan of, and this is actually what's put us in contact with each other. Let's just watch a quick clip. I will probably have to edit this out later. Sequence of moon base alpha blowing away from the Earth. In fact, one of the most spectacular sequences ever filmed for science fiction television, in my opinion. Let me welcome fellow indie filmmaker and Space 1999 or Eagle mega fan, Jeffrey Morris, to the channel. Jeff, it's an absolute honor to have you here.
Thank you very much.
I'm really
honored
glad.
to be here. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Was the audio on that not working?
No, I couldn't hear it. You couldn't hear it. But you know what? You could see it. And that's what matters, because it was, I almost felt like, it's funny. I was like, we can't hear this, but I was thinking it's so spectacular just to see those effects.
I know.
And, you know what I mean? It's just, it's insane to imagine that 50 plus years ago, they were doing effect shots of that quality and, and intensity, and everything. Pretty amazing stuff. So.
Because so much CGI is being used today, in some ways they hold up even better because we love the practical stuff now.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
It stands out more.
Absolutely.
Well, look, we'll geek out about Eagles shortly. I've got a standard set of questions that I always ask all my guests to get an idea of your cultural impact as you were growing up, and the things that culturally impacted you that led you to that path of indie filmmaking and a life of financial success. So,
I don't know that indie filmmaking is a life of financial success.
No, I'm joking. My first question I always ask people is, what is the first movie that you saw on the big screen as a kid? What were you taken to see?
Oh boy, now that's a hard one.
Okay,
here I'll tell you the first one that was a big deal for me was Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Oh, okay. Did you? Are you not Star Wars generation?
I am. I guess, but I remember I did see. No, I'm 58, so I was born in 67. So yeah, I was right there for Star Wars.
Right.
But my dad was an aerospace engineer, and he was fascinated by the concept of UFOs, and he and I would talk about that sort of thing, and it ended up being a really impactful experience for me to go see Close Encounters with him. It was just me and him, and just the kind of conversations it evoked, and the kind of thought, and also the visual effects in that film. It blew my mind, blew me away. So yeah.
I also saw that movie with my dad. I went to see that movie 3 times.
Wow.
I think in the first 2 weeks. And it was the original cut, that had all that extra footage in with the guys planning, the subterfuge, and you saw.
Oh yeah, which was great.
Dressing the vans up. That a lot.
Yeah, that's a great scene. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff was kind of cut out of later versions. But what was the last movie you paid to go and see?
Last movie I paid to go and see was probably Project Hail Mary.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good film.
Yeah.
Is there a TV drama series? We're going to exclude Space 1999 since The Sopranos, so we're talking 97, that you've seen that you've gone, wow, I've got to watch every episode of this. I have to see this. I have to get the Blu-ray. I have to, a lot of people say Breaking Bad. Some people say Game of Thrones. We've had all kinds of answers on here.
Oh man, this is a hard one. That's a really hard one. I like a lot of more obscure television shows. There's
throw me a few.
A few of them. There was a show. Let's see. It's called Counterpart. It starred J.K. Simmons, and it takes place in Berlin, and it deals with alternate universes.
Yeah, I saw it.
Okay, that show I thought was fantastic. Great show. I mean, if you gave me time, I could probably give you a list of a bunch of shows like that I really, you know, that are more off the beaten path that I think were really, really well done and extremely well written and acted and that sort of thing, you know. So it's you know, so that's I tend to go for things that are a little more obscure. There was another show, another one, another alternate reality thing, but is on Apple TV called Dark Matter that I really dug. I thought that was a super cool show.
Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah,
that was really great. But you know, drama series, man, I'd have to think about that for a minute. You know, because there's a series that was on FX called The Old Man, starring Jeff Bridges, that I really like a lot, where he's like a former like CIA operative that was in Afghanistan, and it's a really interesting.
Oh, I think it's called The Old Man.
The Old Man, yeah, the Old Man. Yeah, that's a recent one that I liked a lot. You know, it's funny. Better Call Saul, the prequel kind of sequel to Breaking Bad. Yeah. I think blows Breaking Bad away. I thought Better Call Saul was fantastic. It was just absolutely fantastic. And I was also a big fan of Vince Gilligan's recent show, Pluribus. I think that's a really cool show too.
I really love Pluribus.
Yeah, I really liked Pluribus a lot. I thought that was just great. And
that one of the things is amazing, isn't she? The actress that's
Rhea Seehorn. Yeah. She's
God,
something else.
How good is she?
Yeah, she's something else. And you know, to carry like 90% of that show, just her. It's just her almost every episode, right? It's just, you know, and also I praise that show because in a world where everything is going faster and faster, that show has a lot of stillness and a lot of quiet and a lot of space, and it's very thoughtful. And you know, it's interesting because I've kind of figured out what I think the premise actually is of that show, what I think is really going on. And I think it's pretty interesting. So,
you might have to tell me that offline.
I will tell you offline.
We don't spoil it for people, but I'd be very interested to hear.
Yeah. I have a lot of theories about it. So
it's a great show. It asks like so many questions of you as a viewer. What would you do in this situation? You know, would you become like the Playboy guy who has all the models wandering around? You know, or would you just get mentally depressed? And the ending of the season was just so powerful. The Please Come Back, and oh my god, Rhea Seehorn. Funnily enough, so my last of my quick questions, actually two of them. One is, what is your go-to chill out on a Sunday movie that you can put on any time? It's one of your favorite films of all time. You will whack on. You might need to de-stress because fun.
Yeah, you know, I really like the first one that comes to mind is Hunt for Red October.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I love that movie. I think that's a really cool film.
I'm a big fan of the book over the movie because I think the book's got a much cooler ending. You've probably read the book, right?
You know, I haven't. I should. I need to. Yeah. I will. Based upon your recommendation, I'll read it.
You really should. And I mean, the ending is so action packed as well. I did like the film. I thought the film was a good adaptation, but I didn't understand why they changed the way the sub destroyed the other sub. The way it happens in the book is much cooler.
Okay.
I won't spoil it for you, but definitely read the book. And lastly, if you have a couple of actors that you haven't worked with yet, you've worked with some amazing actors. Bruce Davison, one we were just talking about him. What a fantastic actor! I love him. But have you got two actors on your list? I say two because you can name a male and female that you really want to work with that you haven't had a chance to work with yet. Who would be at the top of the list? Yeah.
Boy, that's an interesting one. You know, I would. That's really interesting, man. Oh gosh, we're gonna have to get back to that one. I'm gonna have to think about it.
All right.
Let me run that sub-process that, and everything, because you know there are actors that are that I look at. I'm like, man, I would really like to work with them, and I'm trying to think of you know, gosh darn it, it's a French actress. She was in the last couple of James Bond films. I know Lea Seydoux. I would love to work with Lea Seydoux. I actually wrote a screenplay for her, a sci-fi film that I hope to get to her in the near future. So so Lea Seydoux is one person that I'd like to work with. I'm trying to think of, you know, on the male actor side.
Wormy Spoons has got a suggestion for you. Mads Mikkelsen. There you go.
Oh, sure.
I'd love to work with him.
Yeah, great actor. Great actor. Yeah.
So let's before we talk about, you've done this amazing documentary on the fascination that fans of Space 1999 have with the Eagle. There's a part 2 of it coming out.
Yep.
But before we get to all of that, and we will talk about those, I'd like to go back a little bit and talk about your beginnings of a journey as a filmmaker. I know your father had a huge influence on your life, as did mine. He was a graphic designer, so also, quite connected to the arts. My mother was a choreographer and ballerina, so I was never going to become an accountant. But was there a figure in your life when you were sort of at college that kind of led you towards the path of filmmaking?
No, I started out wanting to be an astronaut when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And for some reason, there's that series For All Mankind that kind of deals with the alternate history.
I love it. Right? I think it's such a good show.
One of the things that happened for me growing up as a kid is because I was so into the Apollo program and the Apollo missions when I was very small, I'd go to the library and I'd check out all these books about, the past, present, and future of NASA. And they would talk about space colonies and Mars missions and, moon bases and all this amazing stuff, right? And I really believed that we were headed toward this trajectory that was going to be this amazing human future. And it turned into, I started perceiving it by the mid 70s. I think it was a decision to go with a space shuttle as opposed to, going on to Mars from the moon.
Yeah.
You could just feel it. You could feel things, collapsing. You could feel it, and I was like, and then I saw Star Wars and I was like, Star Wars didn't impact me because of the story as much as the production. I was really enamored with how that film was made. I could, the fact that I sat there for 2 hours and that very first shot of the Star Destroyer going over the camera, right? Or the, all those different things, the trench, the battle and flying into the trench at the end of the film and all that stuff. It was so mind boggling to me that I was like, how did they do that? That was, and so I started voraciously reading about visual effects. But my whole goal was I wanted to grow up to make movies about real space exploration that were based upon using the kind of visual effects they used in Star Wars. So instead of doing a galaxy far, far away in space battles, like why not do stories like 2001: A Space Odyssey? But even with but even more grounded than 2001. Like the stories I wanted to tell didn't need any aliens in it at all. It's like, let's tell the story of the first mission to Mars. Let's tell a story about leaving the solar system for the first time. Those are the kind of stories I wanted to tell. So I'd made the decision when I was about 12 years old that I was gonna do that. I was gonna make those kinds of films. And so I got my Super 8 camera and started building models and miniatures and taught myself how to design spaceships and all kinds of stuff. And so it really started way back then in the late 70s, early 80s for me. That's what put me on this path.
When you heard For All Mankind was going into production, which is effectively what you're talking about, that you wanted to make, did you try and get involved? Did you send them a reel or anything like that?
No, that's kind of not necessarily how I roll. I had it's funny. I had pitched the Discovery Channel years ago a TV series called Future Nostalgia, and this was about, I don't know, almost 20 years ago. But this idea with this was to say, here's what, if we were to use visual effects and storytelling, here's what the world could have turned out to be if we continued on that path. And they liked the premise, but then they said it was too depressing because there was no end, right? You know what I mean? It was like you're just talking about this past that never happened. Where's the future in it? So in a lot of ways, some of the ideas I had for that TV series I put into the Eagle Obsession in a lot of ways, right? So in that and I have more documentary sequels to the Eagle Obsession that I'd like to do. I still think that we could tell stories about the future, about moon bases, about exploring the solar system, that sort of thing, without it having to be alternate realities, right? It's like, let's look at the reality of where we really are and try to figure out how we could actually extrapolate forward and figure out what that journey might look like. So I have a number of stories that I'm developing that are along those lines, that are I think there's a story of what would it be like to have a real moon base.
Yeah.
And, you know, and you don't need aliens. You don't need monsters. You like space is already trying to kill you. It's hard enough to be up there. And I think, and I feel like there's so much room for narrative fiction based upon the realities of exploration that I think there's a lot of room for it. So that's still a goal of mine, to tell those sorts of stories.
Yeah, no season 2 Space 1999 monster suits, please.
No. I mean, it's you know, it's interesting because I know a number of people who we watched Space 1999 and we love the characters, costumes, sets, visual effects, but there was some of us struggled with the premise. You know, like even Brian Johnson, in getting to know Brian Johnson the last few years, he told me that the premise of the show was really he was a struggle for him, you know, especially going into season 2. But the idea of, like, he said to me, like, he was like, the moon blasting out of orbit, it just would never happen. I was like, yeah, I thought that even when I was a little kid, you know, like I just wanted the moon base. I just wanted to tell stories about being on the moon, you know. So so it's, I think the point is there's a lot of fertile ground for it. And that said, I really loved a lot of the stories in the first season of Space 1999 a lot, you know. And I, like you, Bringers of Wonder, I still think is a cool story for the second season, but that's about
that's the one that I've watched again recently, and I still quite like it, and because the aliens look so weird, and don't have limbs, they kind of work. They just look so creepy and weird, and yet because they don't communicate and wander around the corridor doing this, and it's that episode works for some reason. So how did you got started with Super 8? Where did things go from there?
You know, I went to college for cinematography, and you know, by the time I was before that, I started teaching myself screenwriting. So I think I wrote my first screenplay when I was a senior in high school, and my first script I wrote was about the idea of this engineer who developed a faster than light drive system. So that's the kind of stuff that I was thinking about when I was like 17 years old or so, writing about that. And it was about his quest to test this thing. And it was sort of almost like a right stuff in the future sort of story, you know? So I've had that kind of bug for a long time, but I ended up, after college, I moved I had a choice, like, between going to Los Angeles and trying to become part of all that. I've never been a big fan of the Hollywood studio system and the way the choices they make. I don't get it, a lot of it. And I think it's, the decisions don't seem to. I often joke that if Hollywood were a startup, they'd be out of business in 3 months, because the decision making is so bizarre, and so the way that the amount of money that's spent and why it's spent and on what it's spent, you know, it's really a lot of bad decision making in a lot of ways. But of course, they have enough successes and enough momentum, they can just keep the machine going, you know. And they're people at the higher levels of that are making a ton of money, right? They want that machine to just keep going, because even if it's a $200 million flop, they made their millions making the $200 million flop. You know? Oh
yeah, I mean the producers make sure they get paid.
Exactly, and they're on to the next one. One. Now, obviously, you can't make too many flops, or no one's going to keep paying you. But it's still, you know, it's that sort of thing. But I guess where I'm going is, I chose to come to Minnesota, which is where I'm based and where I live, Minneapolis, St. Paul, because there was a lot of film development going on up here at that time. Prince and the whole, you know, music scene was really something at that time in the late 80s, early 90s. There were movies being made here. The Coen brothers are from here. There's a lot of it seemed very progressive and interesting. I think Minnesota blew it, though, because the film industry, we didn't have good enough tax incentives, and a lot of the, you know, and what happened is this should have become what Vancouver became, right?
Or Atlanta.
Right? And Minnesota could have done it, but they just, like, it was awful. We had this film board back in the 90s that were just all about going to Cannes and going to parties and having, you know, and so a lot of talented filmmakers like myself, we just stopped making movies here. We stopped trying to make movies here. We just gave up on it, you know. And so I know there's some people now who are fighting to try to revitalize and bring it. But my point was, I set up my base here, and I was able to find investors and really build an entrepreneurial project here that I don't think I could have done in Los Angeles as easily. So that's part of why I moved here and did this. Hopefully I'm answering your question.
No, absolutely. You're here to talk and I'm here to listen. So, is it correct for me to say that your first kind of major project, would it be Persephone?
So Persephone is
Persephone. Sorry.
Yeah. So Persephone is we're still we're looking at getting that off the ground still. We've been working on that for a number of years. We've got quite a few actors still attached to it, done tons of development work and design work. This is a film that I was very, very dear to my heart. I want to get it made. We actually turned it into, I worked with author Kevin J. Anderson, and we actually turned it into a novel as well. So this one's about traveling to Alpha Centauri, or Proxima Centauri, the nearest star.
Kevin J. Anderson, the sci-fi writer.
Yes, Kevin J. Anderson's a good friend of mine, and we actually co-wrote a novel of this. So
wow, that's kind of.
And I did the production design on all this stuff, and it's been a lot of fun. So this is still in the making. We still want to get this made. So
this is all kind of, I guess, what you would call production design stills from the pitch deck, right?
It's all from the pitch, but we have. I've not only done the entire, the script is done, all the design work's done, all the storyboards are done. We just have to figure out the financing side of it. And the one thing that happened, I've pitched this around, and part of what we've run into is Hollywood's like, these big budget space movies, we don't really want to do those right now, and so I think Project Hail Mary has tilted the scale back toward us again, which is good. So I think we can still get this made, and everything. But again, this is a story that is about exploration. It's not about space battles. There's no guns in the movie. There's no, it's not, yes, there are, there's some action, adventure, there's peril. There are a couple of characters that we lose along the way, but it's not about violence. And that's the one thing that I'm kind of tired of when it comes to, personally, I just don't think everything has to be as violent as it is right now. And that doesn't mean I can't take it. That doesn't mean I can't watch things, or, I'm not squeamish or fearful of it. It's just, there's got to be other sides, to other types of storytelling. And to me, the idea of, you think about like a Shackleton, traveling to the pole, right? I mean, those sorts of stories, right? Climbing Mount Everest for the first time. These are human stories of human endurance, and survival. And I think that there's a whole bunch of those kinds of stories that can be told about as we go out into space. So that's the genre that I want to focus on. And convincing Hollywood to spend a lot of money on that's not easy. No, it's not easy. That when I pitch this sort of thing, I get where are the aliens, or is there a monster? It's like, no, there isn't, it's like, and that doesn't mean it's boring. It's not, but you got to get past, it's interesting because they're so cookie cutter with what they like and what they promote, that quite often they can't see new ideas happen. Right. That's why I was very excited for these two indie films this year, Backrooms and Obsession, doing as well as they have, because those were both made by like YouTubers, right? Now, of course, Hollywood's scrambling, like, we got to get more YouTubers. It's like, no, you don't need to get YouTubers. You need to be open-minded about other types of filmmakers. Yeah, and I mean, my channel's always been about supporting independent filmmakers. I mean, I was an indie filmmaker before I became a YouTuber. Becoming a YouTuber came about completely by accident, and I was lucky enough to direct the first short film for a YouTuber called Mauler, who's got 500,000 subscribers. He wrote the script, and it was produced by The Critical Drinker, who's got 2.5 million. Oh, sure, yeah. So I got to direct the first film for that team, which was called All in Good Time. Funnily enough, one of the actors in it was in the Kenneth Branagh Shackleton drama. If you saw that, Nick Rowe, who played young Sherlock Holmes, was in the film.
and Jason Fleming, and we had a great time on it because for once, I had a budget that for a short was very appropriate. So I didn't have to skim here and skim there. And I got to prove what I could do. And the film is, we had a couple of things that we couldn't quite get right, but I'm really proud of it and how it turned out.
That's great.
And it's great when you get to show people that you can do stuff. I mean, I was especially impressed both with your other sci-fi short and also your documentary, which we'll come on to in a second. But for anybody who wants to see, is it Oceana? Is that the Oceana is the title. This is a sci-fi short. It's a premise for a feature film. The link I've actually added to the information down below already. If you haven't seen that, it's on YouTube. It's on the Dust Sci-Fi channel. Is that the
it's on Dust.
It's a fantastic film. I watched it this afternoon. I absolutely loved it.
Oh, thank you.
It's got Bruce Davison in it, who's a fantastic actor. I think you've got Malcolm McDowell doing a computer.
Yeah, Malcolm McDowell does the computer. That was really fun. Yeah, I got to spend the day with him. That was because I grew up loving Clockwork Orange and all those different what was it he was just in so many movies that I thought were so cool at the time when I was young, and so it was an honor to get to work with him and meet him.
I mean, I like I say, I really did like the movie. I thought Megan Dodds actually gave one of the best performances I've seen her give on screen. Here you are with Malcolm McDowell. And Sharif Atkins, who a lot of people will know from ER.
Yes.
Sort of played your other co-lead. And I mean, these guys did a really good job, and I really liked the production design of the vehicle. There's a great shot of the interior set there. Were these screens functional? Did they do things that the actors could kind of twist knobs and stuff would come up? And
that was all me working with them. We kind of mimed it, so we would work with we programmed the graphics on sequences, and then I worked with the actors to make it look like they were actually triggering the sequences on the screen. Yeah. So which looked pretty cool. Yeah, I
think it's kind of cool though when you're able to give the actors that kind of functionality, so they've got something to play off in, rather than just looking at a green screen and stuff's going to be dropped in.
No, that was so important to me with this because we built this submarine up in Vancouver and shipped it down to Los Angeles, and when I designed the sub, I really wanted it to feel like, I was like, I got to make a movie with just 3 actors. How can I do that? Right. And I want to show what I can do as a director and a designer and writer. And I was like, okay, I'm going to put this all together. Cause I grew up, the kind of like, I'm a big fan of the original Star Trek, The Next Generation. I love Star Trek The Motion Picture. If you look at that shot right there, it's like this, we had this set and we could take it apart. We could move the camera in and out. We shot it against a blue screen. And we were able to rotoscope in the ocean and everything, which turned out pretty cool. So but I wanted this to have a feel like it was you are there, like it's real, and everything. And I wanted it to feel very dynamic. And I also was, I think if being a fan, I would say that some of my Space 1999, in terms of production design and how the grounding of it, how it felt, especially the first season. That influenced me on this as well.
Yeah, so, I could see that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's it feels like it could exist. This reality.
Yeah, that's my whole goal with this stuff, is for it to feel like it could be real. So so I'm in the process now of doing a screenplay for a full-on feature reboot of this idea that I'm going to try to get made. And I think Hollywood's finally in a place where I could get it done.
Well, if it does get made, please come back on the channel and promote it and talk about it, because you'll be welcome. And
sure. Absolutely,
I'd love you to come back on and promote it. This was the end running time of this was around, I think, 30 minutes, right?
Yeah, it's 35 minutes. Yeah.
So what was your? I'm very curious to know, what was your final budget on this project?
We spent about 700,000 on this.
700,000. How many shooting days did you have, and how large was your crew?
We shot for about 8 days, and the crew was about 40, I think.
And I always ask this question: do you remember how much you spent on catering?
No, I don't. It was I don't. I'm sorry.
Yeah. When I do a talk with film students and they ask me who's the most important person on the set, I always say the caterer, because if the catering is cheap, you'll know about it pretty quickly, because the crew will be very unhappy. If you spend good money on catering, the crew will work twice as hard and twice as long. So that's our ethos over here. Never go cheap on catering. Sky Racing Cams, welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for coming in and watching the stream. Hi guys, can't wait to see the movie and behind the scenes. I've ordered both.
Oh, thank you. Really appreciate that. Thank you.
I can tell you now, Nolan, that the first film is excellent. Let's move on to that now. So tell us how the Eagle Obsession, a Jeffrey Morris film, came about. This has won awards at all kinds of film festivals all over the world. I heard about it way ahead of time, actually. I think this was crowdfunded, if I remember rightly.
Well, no, it wasn't fully crowdfunded. We did an initial crowdfunding campaign, and what I did is I set the crowdfunding number at a realistic number to make a really high quality movie. And for films of this type, it's not cheap to make a real documentary like this with new visual effects and quality content and everything. So I set it at like about $500,000, and we raised, I don't know, we were on our way to about 200,000 the first couple of days. We actually did really well. But what happened was I was able to get this to a group of investors who were willing to help me fund the actual film. They saw if there was interest. So instead of us having a failed campaign at a high level on Kickstarter, we decided to focus and refocus and brought in investment. So, and then I actually was able to put in some money myself. My wife and I put money into the project. So and it was enough we shot, I think we had about 30 hours of footage when we were done, and we ended up cutting it down. It's about 90 minutes long, and we had so much great footage. And there was another story. There was a story that I had originally. This is very much about the whole thing, fandom, the whole thing. And I started realizing there was a bigger story here that could actually apply to a more broad audience that maybe has never even heard of Space 1999. And that's what I decided to focus the film on, was let's tell the story of people who were influenced in the late 60s, early 70s by NASA, by visual, sci-fi at the time, those sorts of things, and how so many of us were inspired. And the Eagle, I'll use the Eagle as the vehicle to carry us through that story. So that allowed me to actually talk about other things, including Star Trek, because Star Trek was just as much of a part of it for me as Space 1999 was. And as was the moon missions, right? That was all three of those things were influences for me. So the Eagle Obsession talks about all of it, but at the end of the day, the Eagle is probably my favorite component in all of that. So it was fun. It was fun. And but my point was, we had enough footage that was kind of collector oriented that we were able to cobble that together and shoot a little bit more, and we've now got a second film. So
yeah, because I listen, I absolutely loved this documentary. It was one of the best documentaries I've ever seen. I mean, not just because, I mean, your passion is what carries it, but
thank you.
It's so well made. You've got such great engagement from a plethora of different guests, everybody from Space 1999 cast to William Shatner, to people from NASA, to fans, to a guy building an eagle in his garden. It's such a great cross section of people on all sides of the spectrum of the story you're trying to tell. I've never seen a documentary quite like it that's taken a subject matter and shown so many perspectives and taken us on such a wonderful personal journey. Now, I'm a complete nerd when it comes to Anderson, so I'm all about the toys. If I tilt my camera this way, there's a cabinet here. You can see Thunderbird 1, and there's a Thunderbird 2 underneath that, and a Thunderbird 3 underneath that, and so on. And I've got a big Thunderbird 3 in the hallway. So one of the things that I wanted to see more of, and I think you're going to put this a bit more in part 2, is
it's fully in part 2. Yeah,
I wanted to see the collections of the nerds who had like 400
yes.
different eagles, all in different scales and different types.
Yes, yeah, that's what the second film is all about. The second film is all about the fans, and I think, and people who have seen the second film now, we just got the first. We're locking it. We locked it a few days ago. But the second film, I would say that is what fans will want to see. Right, fans, like, we get into collectors, you get to see fandom in England, you get to see fandom, it's pretty cool. So so I'm good. I think it was right to do what we did by pulling it out. It was a big choice. It was a hard choice for me to pull the fan stuff out of the big first doc, but I think it opened it up to a much broader audience.
No, I think you did the right thing as a filmmaker. Absolutely.
Yeah. It was a challenge. So my point is, you're going to be very satisfied by having this companion documentary, because it's all about the fans. The second one, we get to see art that people created, animation people created, their collections. I even had a number of fans send in photos of themselves with their eagles. So you get to, so it's just cool. You might be able to pull up the have you seen the trailer for the second one?
Yes, because you did send me that. Oh, by
the way, and you can even close this out, and you can pop it up if you want.
That's my home country of Denmark there.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, because my father was Danish, so when I actually saw part of it was set in Denmark, I was
and we go back to Denmark again in the second film. So which is great. If you want, I can show you a little bit of the second film. I'm happy to.
Yeah, can you? Are you going to share it your end, and I'm going to put it up?
I'll share it my end. So
we apologize in advance if we have any technical issues, but we'll do our best.
Let's see here. All right, I'm gonna let this carry for a minute here. Hold on a second. All right, so this is going to be you're going to see a few minutes of Beyond the Eagle Obsession.
Okay.
All right.
So the second part is called Beyond.
Yeah, Beyond the Eagle Obsession. So give me a moment.
And people can order that, I'm assuming, also from eagledocumentary.com.
Yes. And we're still out for distribution, so we're being very careful. But yes, you can pre-order it and everything. But so here's this just off of Vimeo.
Here we go.
See that? Yeah. So here, I'm going to actually roll it back. So here's the sequence. Yeah, here we go.
Nice. Back in your hometown here.
From Denmark to a beautiful and snowy Minnesota. My home office always reminds me of the childhood dreams and aspirations that led me to today.
Oh, you got a big track.
Yes.
Yeah.
I take a break from work to reminisce about things like the first real space battle I ever saw in the 1999 episode War Games.
Oh, yeah.
And I try to imagine what it would be like to recreate it with today's visual effects.
It's a shame they never brought out a die-cast Hawk in the 70s.
Yes. But this was a lot of fun creating this.
I can imagine.
Yeah. In doing this, like it was fun to do this. And there are things like these 180 shots. We couldn't have done that back. Nothing like this. No. Just couldn't have done this, But I also tried to do the effects in a way that felt like they were still in the 70s. If that makes sense.
Yeah. No. Yeah. You made it, and you also made it slow and not too.
Exactly.
Yeah. It brings me back to the place where it all began. And the creative genius who conjured the magic to begin with.
I got to meet Jerry twice, which was
It's
very
time to look back
fortunate.
on what made Jerry Anderson so singularly important.
All right, I'm gonna skip ahead here a little bit.
Okay.
Inspired and impacted me at the time.
Oh, I love Nick Tate.
Two families traveling in a spectacular spaceship into the stars on a mission of scientific discovery. It featured real astronomical phenomena like the nearest star system, a supernova.
Oh, there's Mark.
Hole. It fired my imagination like nothing that came before. For the Eagle Obsession, I worked at Pinewood Studios on a special project. I'm a huge fan of Keith Wilson's Eagle cockpit design, so much so that I commissioned plans for a 100% accurate recreation. The team at Machinarium UK worked on it for several months using modern set building techniques. The Moonbase Alpha design aesthetic is unparalleled to this day. This seemed like the best place to connect with Jerry's son, Jamie. As the keeper of the Anderson flame, I wanted to hear his perspective on the Eagle decades after its inception.
So Jamie, it's an honor to have you here. Seriously.
Thank you.
Did you think anything crazy like this would ever happen? You know.
Well, there's a lot of passion out there for Space 1999, so this doesn't feel like outside the realms of possibility.
Okay.
But the fact that it does exist,
Yeah.
that you have done this, and that this whole team of people have done it is amazing, and it's just a testament to the power of Space 1999 and the Eagle too.
It certainly impacted me, obviously, and the journey that I'm taking, I've obviously learned how much it's impacted so many others around the world. When you think about your father's legacy, what's the first thing that really comes to mind?
There's so many TV shows that have come and gone.
Mm-hmm.
To have something like Space 1999, which was so, I think, inextricably linked to his passions for the world and his fascination with space, to then have that long-lasting impact, not just in the creative space, but out into science and engineering and contemporary space travel,
Right.
50 years later,
Yeah.
that is amazing, and that makes me enormously proud. A few years ago, I had the opportunity to go out to NASA Goddard just to have a wander around. And we were walking down a corridor and we were introduced to the head of heliophysics.
Okay.
So, Mr. Sun, essentially.
Right. Yeah.
And we walked into his office, and there on the wall are some Eagle blueprints.
Oh, wow.
And I kind of smiled, like, oh yeah, that's nice of you to put those up while I was visiting.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, they've been here the whole time.
Uh-huh.
I basically work here because of Space 1999.
Wow.
And that is amazing. So people still love it now.
Yeah.
People have got models on their desks and bookshelves. There's man caves all over the planet that are filled with multiple Eagles.
Yes.
That's very cool.
Including mine.
Yeah.
What did your father feel about the Eagle?
He wanted something that was kind of much more real, much more realistic, much more like our future in space might be.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's what he briefed Brian Johnson, the designer, with. And then Brian, using his genius, actually managed to create something that did feel real world and practical, and had a real kind of lovely industrial aesthetic to it. And that, I think, is the secret to its longevity. I'm pretty sure that Space 1999 is the only Anderson show with a title sequence where the hero craft is destroyed in the opening 10 seconds.
That's true.
It seems a weird way.
It is a really weird. I always thought that, but it's awesome and epic at the same time.
Oh, it's amazing,
right? It is, and it makes you ask so many questions, like, what is this? What's this about? Like, why did that happen? What's this show about? What is it? So it was a really brilliant teaser. Yeah.
And also to know that the hero craft, and therefore maybe the hero people, may not survive.
Right. There's a vulnerability there.
Did you ever make a record of how many Eagles are destroyed in season 1?
Oh, some of the guys on my team have talked about that and everything. One of the things that we did do in this here, I'll stop sharing. So I hopefully you enjoyed that little bit there.
Very much.
Yeah. The one thing I do in the Eagle Obsession, there are supposed to be 24 Eagles at Moonbase Alpha, and I decided to do a scene where you get to see all 24 flying in one shot.
Oh, cool.
So you'll get to see that in Beyond the Eagle session, which is a shot I'm very proud of and excited about. So.
I mean, I one of the things I really loved in the documentary was the scene where you took the Eagles into the school and with the kids. Did the kids, as part of that day, did they watch like Breakaway? Did they watch?
Yeah, I showed them Breakaway.
They watched the whole episode.
They loved it. They thought it was super cool. And these are 5th graders.
Yeah.
So they were all, around 10 years old, whatever it is. And they just thought it was great. They loved it. And then once we started talking about the Eagles, it just fired their imagination. So it was one of the more enjoyable scenes. When you see them and their wonder and their interest, that wasn't fake. They were really, really that excited about it. It was great. And
I thought that made the documentary so special because you're passing on that Anderson legacy, but also fueling that interest in space exploration and also TV production. And these are all things that, assuming AI doesn't stop us from being employed, could be their future careers. I really like that. You got to meet Barbara Bain as well and have lunch with her and a shrimp bowl, no less. And she's like Hollywood royalty. I mean, was that difficult to arrange that?
My producer at the time was able to, through connections she had, get me to Barbara's agent. And then Barbara and I, we had actually met many months earlier. So Barbara and I had spent time together and actually got to know each other. And we didn't ever talk about Space 1999. We talked more about our lives and families and growing up and things like that.
Yeah, regular stuff.
So you could see the familiarity that Barbara and I had during the actual sequence that when we shot. There's a comfort there. And I tried to do that as much as I could with each of the people. Most of them, we met and got to know each other well in advance of actually making the film. So I think that was an asset to creating an air of comfort and compatibility with each of the people that we did it with. So I was really happy. There was good chemistry. Barbara was it was a real honor to get to talk with her, and she shared a lot of stories with me about her life and struggles and everything. She's a very, very interesting woman. She's amazing.
It's quite an emotional moment when you, as a filmmaker, and we all know that the filmmaker's journey, especially an indie filmmaker, is never an easy one and fraught with all kinds of challenges and financial, especially, many personal issues. And then you might be working on a project at some point, sometime, where you get to work with an actor who you admired as a kid. You may have even, I used to play Alan when we played Space 99 in the school playground. I'd run around playing Alan all the time.
Alan was the
coolest character.
Right? Alan was the guy we'd play. It was
right.
1999, it's Alan, right? And so
you got to meet him, and that's a really emotional moment in the film for both of you. I can see it. It's and him as well. He's really moved by what you've done. Well,
I grew up as a kid, building Eagle cockpits in my closet. So they get to build a real Eagle cockpit, and then actually they get to sit next to the actor who played Alan Carter in that Eagle. I mean, that was mind-boggling. It's a wonderful thing. So. Yeah, I just hope we can get this film out to a broader audience. The main thing we're challenged with right now is you've got distributors with very short attention spans. We're trying to get people to watch the whole film, right? Because you got to kind of see the whole film to really get it, right?
Yeah.
And I think what happens is a lot of times people will look at the distributors, they'll watch the first few minutes and go, okay, got it, good, thanks. And
no, there's watching the first 15 minutes of this movie does not do it justice. You've got to see. It's a story with many different facets, and you've got to watch the whole thing to see
to really get it.
It's wide appeal, and I think it has got a massively wide appeal. I'm just putting the link up on screen.
Cool.
What has been for me? I wrote a book recently called Back to Raving at 50, which is about me going back to dancing to deal with mental health and PTSD. It's something I did 3 years ago. And I had a message from somebody on YouTube not that long ago, an anonymous message saying, hey, Lance, I just read one of your books. It saved my life. Here's $500. And to this day, I still don't know who this person is. I don't know if it's a man or a woman. I don't actually know which book they were talking about. I'm assuming it's that one because it's the most personal book I've written. Have you had any kind of response like that to either the Eagle Obsession from someone you don't know, just someone who's watched it, you know, Joe Blogs on the street, or to one of your other films as a filmmaker?
Yeah, I mean, I have been incredibly honored and moved by some of the responses I've gotten from people. I had a gentleman write me like a 5,000 word essay about how much the film impacted him. And just, I don't know this guy, you know, someone just randomly sent it to me. And I'm, you know, there are people who have seen the movie and they've told me, I've had so many people say to me, you've hit the nerve of what this was for me. I was you. I feel the same way you do, you know, and or the one, I'll tell you one that was actually really surprising. I think you'll enjoy this, is that the people that came up to me after seeing the film who were like, I don't like science fiction. I've never been interested in this stuff, but this is the first time that I get it. Like, or my kid, I've had a couple of elderly people who saw the film who said, I was not happy when my child liked science fiction or watched Lost in Space or got into Star Trek. And now I feel bad about that because now I understand what it was they were trying to do and say, you know. That was really, really interesting to me, and I had that happen to me multiple times. So I've had both the people who said this film. Oh, another one is I can finally use your film to explain to my wife and my kids and my family why this stuff mattered to me so much. You know, that's another one. So those are kind of like three different reactions I've had. It's like, you know, you've epitomized how I felt. I can now use this to get this across, and I never got it until I saw this. You know, so that's been really, 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 really moving. And the other thing too, for me, going back to the other projects I did, you should check out Parallel Man, which is an animated project I did back in 2014-15. But those two bits, Parallel Man and Oceanus, I've had so many people, even though those are many years old, say that they love them and they were moved by them or impacted them. And these are just shorts, you know. So that's, I know what to do. I know how to make great stuff. The problem for me has just always been, how do you get over the hurdle of getting the financing and distribution to make this kind of great quality material?
Yeah, I've said this before to other guests, and you would have thought with Hollywood film studios and film finance companies and stuff, they would almost be employing scouts like they do in the NFL. You know, scouts go around colleges and they look for people who've got potential, who show the potential for greatness. You know, film studios should be doing the same thing. They should be going around looking for filmmakers like you and me who've made something out of almost nothing, or who have found the way to raise the funds ourselves. Mm-hmm. And look, this is what we've done. But imagine if you'd given me $5 million to make this.
Right.
You know, and you're not asking them for 400 million to make the
next
Avengers
honestly
movie.
If I'm honest with you, the movies I want to make, the Persephone, Oceanus, things like that, none of these films, even if at 50 million, would be more money than I think I need. Does that make sense? Like, I don't want less than 25 million, because you're getting into a place where you're just stressing the production to unnecessarily, right? But you know, at a 25 to a $50 million budget, there's no reason why you can't pull all kinds of incredible things off if you're creative. It just doesn't make any sense. There's no reason to spend 150, 200 million, $300 million on these films. It's insane. It's insane. And you think of how many great films and great filmmakers, if they had access to this. And I'm not talking about, I mean, there's lots of garbage out there. I'm not talking about advocating that. I'm talking about quality, thoughtful, creative, intelligent filmmaking that could be done cost effectively. And you see Hollywood just, you know, but as you and I talked about it earlier, the reason's not because it's because they want the money. It's because you've got producers who are sucking up all that money. That's what that really is. Actors who are sucking up all that money. It's not because the film has to cost $275 million. It's not the reason, you know.
No, they want the big budgets come with the big paychecks.
Exactly.
And a producer is less interested in cultivating unknown talent and making 10 films for $5 million each, let's say,
right,
than they are in making 2 films for existing franchises that cost 250 million or more, because they know they're going to be able to grift off a lot of that money. And it's, you know, that's going to pay for the next house in Malibu and the broken jacuzzi and all that.
Yeah, and it's just it's one of those aspects of capitalism that's kind of sad, right? That just constant. It's got to grow. It's got to grow. It's got to be bigger. It's got to be bigger. You know, and it's like, well, okay, you know, what if we just focus on making things good?
Yeah.
Right. And making something that matters, and making something that needs, telling stories that need to be told. I mean, that's what I'd like to see, and that's what I want to be part of. So, yeah, I mean, you know.
So going back to your project Parallel Man, and I'm sorry for skipping that earlier, it was simply because of time constraints. We must give a shout out to Lance Reddick. I mean, one of the greatest actors that ever lived, in my opinion.
Yes.
Just such an incredible presence. That man, you could have just watched him with no dialogue, smoking a cigarette on screen, and he would have been captivating, and he would have made smoking the cigarette the most interesting smoking of a cigarette you'd ever seen.
Yes. Well, you know, here's the speaking of Oceanus, we're in development on an Oceanus feature film starring him with the company Constantine. We were working on it when he passed away, and I had written the screenplay. We're working on the screenplay. We're going to do this whole thing, and he was going to be the star, and we were going to use it as a star vehicle to really launch him as a leading man, you know.
Yeah.
So it was really cool. So he and I were good friends. It was totally shocking when he died. I don't even have words for what that was. It was just like, what happened? You know, and I mean, I literally just talked to him a couple of days earlier. So,
right.
Yeah.
I think it says a lot about his character that somebody at his stature, and I mean, he was, you know, he might not have been A-list, but he was up there, was prepared to come and work on independent projects for yourself, and also to attach to other projects of yours. And I always find that the actors that are prepared to do that, and I could name several who've done it for me, you know, when you get to know these people, they're good people. I mean, they've got a bit of a moral compass, and they like being the person that pulls up another person onto the top of the wall, to use that analogy in the business, as opposed to the people that just stay up there and never offer down a hand. And that, you know, these are the people that help talent like yourselves and I get our stuff out there. So credit to him. I imagine he was a wonderful individual.
He was like I said, he was my friend. He believed in me, and after he passed away, his wife told me, you know, she said, you know, he really believes in you. He hopes that he wanted you to see you succeed. You know, that was a big deal. So, well,
I believe in you too, and I want to see you succeed. So
thank you.
And
appreciate that.
Ming Na Wen, you also got to work with as well.
Yes, I did.
I'm extremely jealous of that. And I mean, she does in this picture. I guess this is 2014.
Yeah,
she doesn't look a day older than when I first saw her in anything in this photo. She looks exactly the same age.
Yeah.
I must borrow her moisturizer. I don't know what she's using. But can people see Parallel Man? Where can
you see it on Dust. Parallel Man's right there on Dust. Just like Oceanus. Yeah.
Fantastic. You know what? I'm going to watch that later. So what's for the future? You've got the part 2 of the Eagle documentary coming out, and I guess you've got various other things in development.
I mean, my focus, you know, I wouldn't mind doing a sequel to. I'm not a documentary filmmaker. That's not what I want to do. It's not my life. You know, these are actually really difficult to do, and they take a lot of time.
Yeah,
this project took several years to do.
Actually, editing 30 hours of footage.
Yes, I mean, it's one of the things that, you know, I've had some fans out there who have been kind of frustrated. I think that they want the content faster, and it's like we're doing everything we can to get it out there. We really are, but there's distribute. You know, it's one of the things. It's one of the perils of having a Kickstarter, right? Because people know about the project, whereas normally if we just made it and then released it, you don't know about the years it took to get it made, right? And so. You know, so now we're in the throes of getting the distribution squared away, but I think within the next month or so we should have a good handle on where we are with where we're going to distribute this thing. but yes, we do have a number of discs available, 2K and 4K Blu-rays of this documentary that we can, that you can purchase. And then also the second documentary, we put that up for pre-order. That'll be both 2K and 4K. So we'll have a limited window on that, because whenever the big distribution occurs, they're going to want to handle and control how it's distributed widely, right? But we're still hoping for a theatrical release on this thing. I tried to shoot both as cinematically as I could. So I guess as far as the future is concerned, we're getting these two films out as fast as we can. I want to get a reboot. Like, I want to do the full Oceanus feature. I've got I think an outstanding script in development on that. And then that hopefully will lead to Persephone and other things that I've been developing over the years, And, I think that the world for independent filmmaking is opening up a little bit now. And so I want to take advantage of that while I can. And part of why I did the Eagle Obsession also is because I wanted people to get to know not only me as a filmmaker, but get to know me as a person. And I think that film gives you a good window into, who I am and where I'm coming from and what I'm trying to accomplish. So
do you have a view on AI and how you might utilize that going forwards?
Man, I have to be honest with you. I'm not a fan.
It's a difficult one, isn't it?
I'm not a fan. You know what? The only place I can go there with AI generated content is humor. When people are using it for parody or humor, I think that's been some extremely well done stuff I've seen there. But this idea of like this Tilly Norwood crap, I think I find it infuriating. I mean, it's almost like having the craft of filmmaking and acting and all that. That hasn't been perfected yet. Using humans, working with humans, getting it, you know what I mean? We're like you and I were just talking about. You have this economic structure where these massive budgets are happening, and then you can't get good things made and all this stuff, right? And now in the middle of that, we're going to throw this tool at it that you have people who are, listen, I'm not saying that writing prompts is not difficult. I think it probably is, right? To prompt a really, really well done chunk of AI footage is a challenge, and I still get, right. But that said, it's still prompting. It's not the same as not even close. It's not even close. And when I see people prompt something, some bit of nonsense, and then they're going, "Hey, I made that. I made this film." It's like, no, you didn't. It's like, this is like content that's being this engine is plagiarizing all this content and remixing it into something that you've told it to. You know what I mean? It's not real. And so but I also accept that it's coming, and I do know that, unfortunately, you know what's sad, and I think you'll find this interesting, Lance, this idea that what always bugs me with things like AI is people talk about it like it's a force of nature. They'll say, well, AI is coming. It's like, no, it's not like it's a storm on the horizon or a wave, like, nature. It's humans are choosing this.
Yeah.
Corporations are choosing this. Individuals are choosing this. These things happen. These movements happen because humans are making decisions, not because of some sort of outside omniscient, omnipotent force of nature that's arriving. That's, you know what I mean? So when people say AI is coming, it's like, no, people are choosing AI. That's what's happening, right? And we could just as easily choose to say, let's find talented people who need a shot and give them a shot. You could do that too. So it's all about money and making as much money as possible as easy.
And that second option probably won't lead to the destruction of mankind as well. So there's that.
Well, we could have a whole podcast about that, because I've studied it in depth, and this is a very, very dangerous thing. Obviously, generative AI in terms of visuals is very different than artificial general intelligence or artificial super intelligence, right? Those are completely different lanes. But the point of artificial general intelligence and stuff, we are on the precipice of something that could genuinely destabilize or destroy everything.
I had Gaylan Heard on the channel about 1.5 years ago, and what wonderful guest. And we talked about it because it was just starting then. She was really angry. She was like, I can't believe, we made a film warning people about this, and they're still doing it.
They're still doing it. Yeah.
That's,
No, I feel the same way. I think it's insane. I don't, it's funny. You think about like the data centers and well, what is it? Like there's this wonderful movie from I think it's like 1970 called Colossus, the Forbin Project.
Oh, I love that film.
Great film.
Where the two computers start talking to each other.
They make the supercomputer and then it's trying to take and then it's talking to okay, and I've even read the book of that one. It's great.
It's a great movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie. But here's the thing. You know what Elon Grok and XAI, the main computer center that he's created, it's called Colossus.
Is it?
Yes. And it's like, what my thing is like, why did you guys watch these movies? Like the thing that's most shocking to me about living in this era is finding that there's all these like tech bros who grew up watching the same stuff we did, and they were rooting for the bad guys.
Yeah.
Right. I had no idea that there were people watching Star Wars going, man, the Empire is awesome. You know what I mean? I never would have imagined that. I never would have imagined that this is where we are. But we're now entering an era of real Bond villains, basically. And it's
it's a weird time.
And it's like we've got these real life Bond villains who they're sitting here saying we've got to create rockets so we can get off the planet because before the planet's destroyed. Well, their actual actions are part of what's destroying the planet. So it's such a bizarre conundrum that we're stuck in. But the last point I'm going to make is just all of this science fiction going back to HAL in 2001, the Terminator, War Game, all these things have been talking to us about this for decades. And then we're still just going to go and do it. It's just the strangest thing,
Quick question from the chat. I know that. What do you think about season 2 of Space 1999? I feel it's a bit underrated.
We're probably not the guys to ask that.
No, because we're not fans of season 2.
Here's the thing. I guess the problem I have about season 2 was that it was so tonally different from season 1 that I think it was the monsters in the rubber suits.
I mean, 2 words, Fred Freiberger.
Yeah, it's Fred Freiberger, right? And what he did to Star Trek, the 3rd season. It's just the strangest thing to me. And it's just a different show. It's a different animal, right? So it's like, and I remember as a kid even watching the first season of Space 1999 and then watching the second. And I remember I was like, wait, what? When they changed the music and they changed the opening credits and the whole thing. And then suddenly we have Maya and we're shape-shifting and we've got, Catherine Schell was a great actress. I think she's very cool. I like Tony. I thought Tony's a great character. I think they could have used a Tony and his humor and his energy in the first season. That would have been, that was something that was kind of missing from the first season, was the levity of that. But what was missing from the second season was the gravity, the gravitas of the first season, right?
Yeah.
That was, the depth of the first season,
the groundedness of the first.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like Victor Bergman was my favorite character, and he's just gone in the second season, right?
I know. I had a friend who re-edited all the title sequences of season 2 and gave them season 1 titles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, to try and improve it. I'm not sure if that worked,
Sure.
but
So, I suppose that there are some good visual effects in season 2. I think Bryan Johnson and those guys upped their game in season 2. So those are some positives I would say about season 2. But generally speaking, I'm much more a season 1 guy.
I agree with you on that. I don't know how many Eagles you have in your collection. This is the latest one that's available from Jerry Anderson Products for a mere £124. Which is quite pricey for me. I'd love to get it.
To give you a look. So I've got this one right here.
Please do.
Got this guy, right?
Let's enlarge you. There we go. Yeah, that's a nice one.
That's the 2 foot
That's the limited edition one that came out in the early 2000s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I saw that for sale, and that's by the same company that made the limited edition Thunderbird 2 and Thunderbird 3. I've got the 3 in my in my corridor there.
And if you look up, then I've got
there's the 2001.
Yeah, I've got the Discovery. Yeah, I've got the Discovery up there. Then I've got like a bunch of different little Eagles there, that are in various
Yeah.
You go way up here, then I've got more eagles up there. So I've got a big 2-foot rescue eagle and stuff up on the top shelf. So that's what. Oh, and I guess I got this little guy.
Oh wow, that's the Battlestar Galactica. Is that the model kit that came out in the?
No, actually, I had someone actually 3D print this Galactica for me, and they even did fiber optics. You probably can't see it, but we got the exact windows and the whole thing. So
wow,
the same as the shooting model of the smaller, but it's a good sized one. Then I've got this, this thingy here.
Yeah. I would totally nerd out if I was there.
Yeah. So this is
my last question to you before we wrap up. And listen, you've been a wonderful guest. We've touched on a plethora of subjects, and now you've been on the channel. You're technically a member of the Outcast Creative, which means you can come back and promote something anytime. So that's
thank you. I appreciate that.
Quid pro quo that we offer everyone to thank them for coming on. If you have a film coming up, or you do a Kickstarter or something, you want to come on and talk about it, you just message me and we will arrange that. But one question I always like to ask my guests, especially those that work in the film industry, be they actors or directors, is the work-life balance thing. And it's so hard to get right. And I asked Gail Ann Hurd this question, and she said, well, don't ask me, because I've been married and divorced 4 times.
Yeah.
So I clearly didn't get it right.
Yeah.
Do you have an answer for that? How do you balance that? 'Cause it's quite difficult as a filmmaker.
No, it's not. Yeah, I mean, I think not just being a filmmaker, but also being an entrepreneur, that both are a big challenge in terms of, I don't, if I'm honest, I'm not a workaholic, as they would say. I don't work to get out of life, right? But but my life is based around my work, because the work is why I'm here. I want to accomplish these things. I want to tell these stories. I want to get these messages out into the world. I want to influence the world in a positive way if possible. So the work is first for me, and I'm lucky to be in a relationship with a woman who gets that, and she's willing to work with me on it and integrate into it and everything. Actually, she's in the second film. You'll see her, which is fun.
Yeah. I think we see her briefly in the trailer, because doesn't she go with you for lunch with Barbara Bain? Is that not?
No, that's not my wife. That's an old friend of mine all the way back from grade school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But
we'll see her in the second film.
But you will see my wife in the second film. Yeah,
that's a good way to keep her happy. Give her a role in the.
Yeah. But she's been very open and tolerant. We've known each other a long time. So she gets it. She knows that this is a quest that I've been on, all the way back since the late 80s, so that's good. I think you have to have partnerships with people who get it. Otherwise, it's not gonna work. There's no way you can make it work with someone who doesn't get it. And honestly, I think that a lot of people, that if you go to a job, especially if you go to a job that you don't like, or you go to a job because you have to, or whatever it is, I don't think you really have a sense of what it's like to be, to have a dream, and then also to see the dream realized. In realize, do you feel like you have to pursue it? You can't give up on it, and I won't give up on it. So it's a
filmmaking is a passion. You've got to want it.
Yeah, exactly. And you can't back down. You gotta do it. So yeah. So
well, thank you so much for coming on. Yours is the first of 3 interviews I'm doing over the next 2 days. On Thursday at 8 o'clock, we have actor LaMonica Garrett coming on, who is well known for being in 1883. Of course, he was also in Designated Survivor and a ton of other things. Currently in season 3 of Lioness as well. And he's just done the feature film Man of War. Of course, I interviewed the director of that, William Kaufman, a few weeks ago. And now I've got its star coming on. So I can't wait to talk to Monica on Thursday, because I'm a massive 1883 fan. I've got the box set of it right over there. Then on tomorrow at the same time, I've got Stephen Murphy coming on, who is also an independent writer, director, actor, who's out there like you as well, making his own films, finding funding any way he can. Exactly the kind of person that this channel likes to support. So we've got Stephen Murphy coming on, Most of you won't have heard of him, but he's out there grafting away, and he's exactly the kind of person that I would like to give more exposure to. So he's coming on tomorrow at 8 o'clock. So 2 more tremendous talents following in the wake of Jeffrey's interview today, which has been fantastic. Jeff, is there a movie coming out that you're looking forward to seeing this year?
I want to see the Digger, the new one
Tom
with
Cruise.
Tom Cruise. That looks like Strangelove for the 21st century to me.
I saw the poster and I saw a teaser trailer which told you nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since they said the main trailer's dropping, I follow Tom Cruise on social media. I posted underneath, Tom, I'm not going to watch this because I want to go to the cinema knowing absolutely nothing about your film. And it's so hard to do that now. I'm going to try.
Oh, like that. Well, also we just have all these trailers that actually tell you the whole movie now.
I know. I hate that.
It's like there's the whole film. I don't need to see the film now because it's in the trailer. But no, I want to see that, and I'm also excited for the sequel to Godzilla -1. I want to see that because I'm not a big Godzilla guy or anything, but I thought Godzilla -1 was such a great movie. It was a really cool film, such a good movie, and another one made for like what 12 million or something, right?
Yeah, I know.
And it just was so inspirational and so well made. So I'm excited to see the sequel to that. And so Digger and that are kind of the ones that I'm interested in.
Have you seen the Odyssey yet?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not that interested, and my reasoning is because I feel like another thing that I don't like about Hollywood right now is this use of the same actors over and over and over in the same thing in other films, right? And so what it feels like to me, there's only so many times that I want to see Tom Holland and Zendaya and like all these people, these people. It feels like cosplay to me. It feels like we've got a bunch of Hollywood actors, and now we're going to cosplay the Odyssey, and now we're going to play. So and I'm nothing against the film or people who want to see the film and enjoy it, but it doesn't call to me. Because it feels like, what I would have liked if Christopher Nolan had made that film with entirely
Greek
unknowns. Yeah. And took the risk of going, I'm going to make this film with I'm going to find the best actors I can.
Yeah, that would have been great. Actually.
Could you imagine that? Could you imagine how cool
really
that would
interesting?
Be? Then I would have been all over it because I love the story of the Odyssey. I always have. And I would have been super excited. But honestly, I'm kind of done with this whole Hollywood star thing, The only reason why I want to see the Digger thing is I think that Tom Cruise actually has the capability to go places as an actor and do things sometimes that are different and radical, right?
Yeah.
So but that's not the same as like just casting him because he's Tom Cruise, right? It's like
no.
Yeah.
And he's always looking to push boundaries both in terms of what he can do himself and technology and stuff like that. And I just think, in terms of someone who injects a lot into the industry and gives a lot back, he's number one for me.
Yeah. So I agree. So it's, I know it's probably not a popular position, but I just saw that. I just kind of shrugged because I'm like, here we go. Yeah.
Well, I've seen it. I thought it was technically impressive, but emotionally unengaging. So
okay, well, that's what I figured it would be.
That was my take. But it's a well-made film, but it didn't move me, unfortunately. And I like to be moved when I go. I found your documentary far more moving than the Odyssey. So
that's wonderful to hear. So
you can put that on the next poster.
Put that on the poster, yeah.
Lance Nielsen, far more moving than the Odyssey. Well, on that humorous note, thank you so much, Jeffrey, for coming on.
Absolutely, I've really enjoyed talking with you. Really
I have as well, and you're welcome back anytime. And we also do panels from time to time on topics. So if we ever do anything that's kind of top sci-fi movies or something like that, I'll give you a shout in case you want to come on and take part, because I think you'd be a great guest to have on one of those as well.
That'd be wonderful. So
all right, no problem. Well, so don't forget, everyone, we're going to be back tomorrow, and I'm also got my regular review show on tonight at 9 o'clock. That's in about an hour and a half, where we're, funny enough, going to be talking about the Odyssey again. But also we're going to be talking about a couple of low-budget films, including the remake of Deathstalker, which I forced all of my panel to watch. So that's going to be entertaining. We're going to be talking about that and some other releases. Thanks to my guest, Jeffrey, for coming on. Thanks to everybody in the chat. And here comes the song. See you all later.